Creality has a new slicer software, an upgraded version of the Creality Print, how to set up a 3D printer and how to use this slicer software. The G-code flavor now is Clipper. You remember that video that I made about adding your printer to Cura and to Orca Slicer? I had to switch from Creality OS to Marlin or something else. Now, instead of using Creality OS, they say just Clipper. So was it all the time Clipper? Right here on Zachary's 3D Prints. Hey, Zach here. Welcome to this video. Somebody asked me in a previous video about Creality Print which version that I was using. And I was checking and I saw 4.3.8. And it seems there is a new version 5 of Creality Print. Now, this slicer looks way different than the previous versions that I was using. So if you are brand new to Creality Print or you want to keep using Creality Print, I'll show you in this video how to set up a 3D printer and also some basic settings and features that you can use using Creality Print right here on Zachary's 3D Prints. And if you are new here, subscribe. Let's dive right in. And so this is Creality Print. If you have a previous version like 4.3.8 or lower than the version 5. If you're going to, I think in the previous version it was called help or about, you will see something like update. So if you're clicking on that, it will check which version there is and it will update to the latest version. In my case, and in this video, I will be using version 5, the latest version. To be sure, which one? Well, about us. And this is version 5.1.2. And as they say here, Creality Print version 5.1 is based on Slicer of Orca Slicer and Cura engine of Ultimaker. Orca Slicer is based on Bamboo Studio, Orca Slicer and Super Slicer. And I will stay to the opinion, if Creality adds more 3D printers to the already existing slicers like Orca Slicer, Bamboo Studio, that would be a lot more fun. How to add a 3D printer? Well, you click here on the first icon, printer. You will see here different printers. Well, in my case, I have the K1 0.4, the V3KA, and the V3 Plus 0.4. Everywhere you will see the nozzle diameter. But how to add a 3D printer in this software? Click on Add, and then you will get this. And just a little note on this, it has only Creality 3D printers. These are the only 3D printers at this moment that are added to Creality Print. In the previous version, like the 4.3.8, I had different kind of Creality 3D printers that I could add to this slicer. But for some reason, Creality is going for their latest 3D printers. So the version 3, the flagship series, and the CR series. You see exactly which ones. So these are the only ones that are currently supported in Creality Print 5.0. So once added the 3D printer, you can use the drop-down menu right here. For example, the K1, we have here a nice build plate. Graphically speaking, it looks very beautiful. I like this. If you are clicking here on the edit, you will see all basic settings for the 3D printer that you have selected. And in my case, the K1 0.4, you will find here all of the basic information, the G-code, the start G-code and the end G-code. For multi-material, if you click on advanced, if the CFS is coming for the latest 3D printers of Creality that are compatible with the CFS, I assume, then when you are going to click on advanced, you will find all of the necessary settings to change. So extruder 1, you will find all this here, and motion ability, you will find all here. So the basic information, I don't think you need to change a lot. Here on defined hard steels is stainless, steel and brass. If you are going to change the nozzle of the K1 or any other of the other 3D printers, make sure to set it on the correct one. When you go back to the basic information and click on advanced, you will get more settings to play with. For example, the G-code flavor now is Clipper. Previously, it was Creality OS. Now it is called Clipper. You remember that video that I made about adding your printer to Cura and to Orca Slicer? I had to switch from Creality OS to Marlin or something else. Now, instead of using Creality OS, they say just Clipper. So was it all the time Clipper? So besides adding a 3D printer to Creality Print 5.1, you can also add some filaments as well. Settings, edit filaments. You can click on add it will add something, but I think it is for the CFS. To add a different kind of filament to the printer, click on the edit filaments, and here we have some settings. So these are at the filaments for the Creality K1 0.4 generic PLA. Okay, so it is in there. We click here on PLA. This is Hyper PLA. You click here on the drop down menu and you are going to select generic PLA, or maybe if you have those fancy silk PLAs, you can choose that one. So we click on that, check your temperature settings. If you want to make changes, click here on the pencil and you will get the manage filaments. Well, for the generic PLA 1.75, softening temperature 110, maximum here is 240, minimum is 190, chamber temperature is 35, first layer 230, other layers 230. Most of the times when printing PLA, I am always going for the 220, and the other ones 220. The bed temperature here is at 50. In my experience, 60 would be better. So 60 and 60. Here you also need to take attention to the other ones. So 60, 60, 60, and then we click on save. Copy. I will say like PLA. Okay, I've got my own user configuration. So meaning you have added a custom PLA. If you have Prusement, if you have Polymaker, check the box which kind of settings that they say that is working the best for printing with it, and then add your own profiles. So we close it and we have here normal PLA. Here user configuration PLA. Now here it's 220, bed temperature is 60 degrees. We can add a model. We click on import model. We are going for, let's go for the Jon Snow bust. Open. It's a model by Eastman. Rotating you do with holding the right mouse button, and you can rotate, you can pan. Zooming you will do with the scroll button, and when holding you can move it up, down, left, right. When you want to go to the home position or the angle reset, click on the house, and this is how it will look like. Here on the right hand side we have different kind of options. Of course, since this is one build plate, we cannot cancel it or delete it. Further, we have auto layout. If you click on it, it will set the model in the middle. Auto layout, see, and then that happens. Pick bottom, it will do exactly the same as this one. You can lock the build plate, avoiding making some unnecessary mistakes, and here you can also go for the settings. Then we have here on the right hand side process. This is global. These are the normal settings. Then you have here object, layer height, scene position. And I was wondering, I have this box right over here and I was not really sure what it is going to do. Instead of giving a lot of text and explanation by Creality, they show in this little box here what it actually does. So for the layer height, it will show you exactly the height, as you can see right on the right hand side. Scene position aligned. Only one wall at first layer, but here with the global settings, also here it does show you what it does. This is the 0.20 millimeter standard. If you click it open, you have here also 0.16 or 0.08 extra fine if you want to go really fancy. Here you have the advanced parameters where you can play with. There are a lot of options where you can choose from, and we are going for the 0.20 millimeters. Here you have also some other boxes as well. So in this case, we were looking at the quality. Then we have strength. Here you find also some additions. Here we have strength, as you can see, wall, top, bottom shelf, infill. And also here, the little display in the right hand corner show you exactly how it will look like. Then we have here speed. Here that doesn't say anything, but if you are going to click on advanced parameters, you can play with these settings as well. I don't know if the icon is going to show you something. There are a lot of options to play with. Then we have here the support settings. Because supports are not enabled, it doesn't do anything, but if we click on it, it will go and give you some standard settings for the supports. Just like you can see right here, enable supports. Here you will see in the little icon what the support exactly is. So here we have the tree support auto, style. Here you have different kind of, we are going for the organic. But these are settings. If I click this away, it will keep as simple as possible. Here also filament for supports, 3 raft based default. Then we have here the others, bed adhesion, prime tower. You can see in the icon field, you can see exactly which kind of thing is going to be done. Flash options, special mode, spiral. So I think, I'm not really sure if Orca Slicer does have the same functionality, but adding for especially new people that are not familiar with 3D printing or just started out, they can see exactly what is going to happen with the settings, what you are going to change layer by layer or print sequence. So that is really cool. As you are changing some of the settings, you will see 2 things that are going to be changed. Here, a little asterisk for the 0.20 millimeter, but also here where the change has been made. So if you are going to make more changes, fuzzy skin, let's go for fuzzy skin contour, you can see here exactly which kind of sections of the slicing process has been changed. And here, special mode, let's change that back. So if you are going to mess up, it's no problem, because before you are going to slice it and you say like, oh, I don't want to have this setting, I don't want to have this kind of print option, you can find exactly where you made the change and then change it back. So I think that this looks all cool. So that was the right hand side of Creality Print 5.1. We have here also some other features as well. Basically add a build plate. Here I have the Jon Snow bust being printed. If I click here on add plate, there's a new plate added. If I go click like this, then I'm going to click here, and now I can say the Jon Snow base, and that one is going to be printed on this build plate. Pretty simple. Nice. We have here also layout, but this is basically the same as the function here. With this function, you can put the model right in the center, or if you have multiple models on a build plate, you can auto align it pretty easily. Here, this is also bottom. So if the model is not aligned pretty well, you can use that function, say where the model needs to be, and then it will do it automatically for you. This is the scale function. If you want to make the model bigger or smaller, this is all uniform. You select here one of those, and in my case, usually when I'm going to scale models, it is usually in the height, so that I know that my printer is able to print it this high. We have here also the mirror function. I barely not use it, but if you want to flip a model over for some purpose, you can do it right there. We have also the clone function. If you want to print multiple of the same thing, you add the number that you want to have here, and then you will have basically a build plate filled with this model. Then we have also the hollow function. I don't know where to use this for, because models without any infill will fill eventually. But think about square, rectangle models, or like a triangle, something like that. Very nice. We have also here the drill function. You can make a hole in a model. For example, if you are making name tags, you can do it within the slicer, and then in the end put a hole in there so that you can put a keychain on there as well. We have here also ladder function. I don't recommend using this, because with this one and the embossing, it will going to crash the program. And then some other things, but I will cover that in a later video once the slicer is stable. So once that is done, you click on slice plate. In this case, we are using one build plate, so this will take a little bit, 85%. So this is the model. Once it is sliced, everywhere there's overhang of 30%, there will be generated supports. In my case, I used 3 supports in an organic way, so everything is very nice and easy to remove. So in my case, I can use LUN printing because I have the Creality K1 and the Creality KA both on the network, so I can select those. There's also another possibility, export to local, and then you will send this file over to a folder, and then you can add it to your Creality 3D printer using the web IP functionality. If you don't want to do that, you are clicking LUN printing, and you can say like, okay, we are going for a Creality K1 because I have sliced it for the Creality K1. Always make sure that that is the same as the one that you used in here, and you can click print calibration and then one click printing. So these are the basic features of Creality Print, how you can add your 3D printer, how you can add or change different types of filaments within this slicer. Also some basic settings that you can use for using Creality Print. A little side note, when I was recording this, I got several error messages because there was a crash. I don't know what is wrong with the software, but every time when I was using the ladder function, the adaptive layer height, and also the embossing, every single time when I was making some small adjustments or small changes, the program did crash. So I don't know what is causing this issue, but Creality really needs to fine-tune it a little bit more, making sure that this program runs without any crashes. My personal opinion about this, they spend a lot of time and efforts in making this slicer based upon Orca Slicer and Bamboo Studio. I would rather want to see them adding those 3D printers to those slicers instead of making their own slicer, adding more functionality and giving also the users a lot of extras that they want. If you made it this far in this video, you are amazing. Thank you. If you are not subscribed, subscribe, like this video, and check out this video right over here. Oh, check it out. It's going to be amazing.